Amazon just made $1 billion bet that changes everything about how tech giants compete for the future of artificial intelligence. 3 weeks ago, OpenAI did it. Last week, Anthropic did it. Now, Amazon's announced their own frontier development effort, or FDE. It's not a rebrand, it's not a marketing move. It's a completely restructured way of doing business. Think of it like this. Instead of having AI researchers scattered across departments arguing about priorities, a frontier development effort is a separate organization. It answers to nobody but the CEO. It's got its own budget, its own hiring, its own roadmap, and its only job is pushing the frontier of what AI can do. $1 billion a year. That's what Amazon committed. And here's the part that caught everyone by surprise. This is Amazon admitting the old way of organizing huge tech companies can't compete anymore. When researchers are spread across teams fighting over resources instead of collaborating, you lose speed, you lose talent, you lose breakthroughs. OpenAI figured this out first. Anthropic figured it out next. Amazon watched both pull ahead and realized if they didn't adapt their entire organizational structure, they'd be playing catch-up forever. This is bigger than a new AI model. This is a bet on structure itself. And here's where it gets interesting. But here's what most coverage gets wrong. This isn't Amazon saying we are doing AI now. Amazon's been doing AI for years. This is Amazon admitting that the organizational structure that made them a trillion-dollar company can't win at the frontier. Think about it. OpenAI beat everyone with a few hundred people. Anthropic did it with a team that started smaller. Both won because they had singular focus. One mission, no politics. No competing priorities between departments. Amazon's different. They've got over 1 million employees. AWS researchers build cloud infrastructure. Robotics engineers build warehouse automation. Advertising teams build recommendation systems. All brilliant, all AI-powered. But they're not talking to each other about pushing the frontier. They are solving different problems. A frontier development effort fixes that. It says, take your best minds and give them one job, beat the frontier. No quarterly earnings pressure, no customer commitments, no internal politics, just pure research. And here's what made Amazon realize this wasn't optional. Anthropic just announced its own FDE with a fraction of Amazon's resources. If a startup's frontier effort can outpace a trillion-dollar company's normal structure, there's no path to catching up without changing the game itself. Amazon realized they were already behind. But here's what most coverage gets wrong. So what exactly is a frontier development effort? Here's how it works. A normal company structure organizes around products. Amazon has divisions: retail, cloud, advertising, entertainment. Each has its own researchers working on AI, but they're optimizing for that division's goals. The retail AI team wants to improve shopping recommendations. The cloud team wants better data processing. The advertising team wants better ad placement. Nothing wrong with that. It's how Amazon became successful, but it's not how you build the absolute cutting edge of AI. The frontier moves so fast you can't wait for it to filter down through normal corporate processes. FDEs work differently. You take your absolute best researchers, you give them a budget, you give them freedom. You tell them their job is to make discoveries that might take 5 years to commercialize, maybe longer. The researchers aren't asking, will this sell to our retail customers? They're asking, is this true? Is this real? Does this advance our understanding of artificial intelligence? That's the entire difference. Amazon could have just put more AI money into AWS, but throwing more money at the existing structure wouldn't fix the fundamental problem. Talented researchers need to work on frontier-pushing questions, not production optimization. FDEs answer that need. Here's the twist nobody expected. So how are OpenAI and Anthropic actually running theirs? OpenAI's FDE is essentially pure research. The team is working on problems OpenAI itself doesn't know how to solve yet. They publish some of their work. They keep some private. The philosophy is, we want the smartest humans in the world thinking about frontier problems with all the resources they need. Anthropic's approach is similar. They've ring-fenced a team specifically focused on longer-term research questions, things like interpretability, safety, alignment problems that won't show up in next quarter's product roadmap. Now Amazon's doing the same thing, but with a twist. Amazon has computational resources that almost nobody else on Earth has. They could allocate 20% of an entire data center to frontier research if they wanted to. They've got cloud infrastructure to run massive experiments. They've got relationships with chip makers. What Anthropic can do with 100 researchers and leased compute power, Amazon could potentially do with the same researchers but unlimited access to their own hardware. That's a serious competitive advantage. The question Amazon's facing is, can we hire the absolute best minds, give them freedom, give them unlimited compute, and move faster than everyone else? For that to work, they need the FDE to feel like the most exciting place to work in AI. And that's just the beginning. Here's where Amazon actually has an advantage. Anthropic has brilliant people, but operates at 15% of Amazon's scale. OpenAI's talented, but tied to commercialization for revenue. Amazon's different. They can burn $1 billion yearly on pure research without feeling it. To Amazon, $1 billion is what 100 million might be to Anthropic. They're not worried about revenue. They make most money from cloud and retail. If their FDE takes 5 years to produce something valuable, they can wait. OpenAI needs ChatGPT improving constantly because investors expect returns. Anthropic needs Claude staying competitive. Amazon can afford to take long-term bets that pure-play AI companies cannot. That doesn't guarantee they'll win. Talent trumps money in research. But Amazon's got scale, unlimited compute, no revenue pressure, and hiring power that others can't match. If they recruit the right people and actually give them the freedom and FDE promises, they've got a serious shot. The risk? Amazon's corporate culture, the culture that made them dominant in retail and cloud, can't change fast enough to let researchers think years ahead instead of quarters ahead. They need to unlearn how they've always organized. That's harder than it sounds. This is where things get surprising. Here's the thing that changes everything. The fact that Amazon's doing this signals that the competition for the frontier of AI has moved beyond money and into organizational structure. It's saying, we can't win with the old playbook. That's a massive admission from a company that's been dominant for 20 years, but it means every other major tech company is now watching. Google's going to look at this. Microsoft's going to look at this. Meta's going to look at this. They're all going to ask, do we need our own FDE? And most of them probably will create one. What Amazon started as a defensive move, trying to catch up to OpenAI and Anthropic, is going to become the standard way that trillion-dollar companies organize their AI research. Within 2 years, FDEs might be everywhere. That sounds like good news for AI progress, and it is. It means more resources devoted to frontier research. But it also means something else. The concentration of AI research power in the hands of giant companies just got stronger. Anthropic and OpenAI are proof that startups can compete. But once every trillion-dollar company has its own billion-dollar FDE, startups are going to have a much harder time recruiting talent. The smartest people in the world might find it harder to resist the pull of unlimited resources. But wait, there's something nobody's talking about. Now here's where the real story starts, understanding why the FDE structure actually works. An FDE works because it answers a truth about how brilliant people work. Genius researchers don't want quarterly reviews or constant justification. They want freedom, resources, and peers smarter than themselves. A normal tech company gives resources but kills freedom with approval layers. A startup gives freedom but not unlimited resources. You're always fundraising. An FDE gives both. That's the magic. It says, here's unlimited budget, here's a mission, advance the frontier, and here's the best minds we could find. The real challenge? It only works if the parent company actually lets it be autonomous. The moment Amazon's executives start demanding near-term business results, it breaks. The moment they redirect people onto product work because revenue dipped, it fails. Amazon's bet is that they can keep that promise. That's not easy. That's the actual test. Many big companies try to create skunkworks or internal startups. Most fail because the parent organization can't resist extracting value or redirecting people. If Amazon can do that, if they can let a team focus purely on frontier research for years without demanding commercial output, they'll have figured out something most companies haven't: how to keep the speed of a startup while having the resources of a giant. Here's what you should watch for. Over the next 6 to 12 months, watch whether Amazon can actually hire top-tier frontier researchers. Names matter. If you start seeing papers published by world-class researchers with Amazon FDE affiliations, they're serious. If nothing happens and it's just internal work, they're not committed. Second, Watch whether other major companies announce their own FDEs. Google, Microsoft, Meta, you'll know the structure is spreading when they all join. Third, watch for leaks or reporting about tensions. Every FDE faces the same pressure. The parent company wants results, and frontier research doesn't deliver quick results. If we start hearing about conflicts between Amazon's FDE and the rest of the company, they are struggling. But if Amazon's FDE stays focused, hires brilliantly, and produces interesting research, whether or not it ever becomes a product, then they've solved something that's been Amazon's weak point, moving as fast as pure-play AI companies. This matters because whoever wins the frontier race, whoever pushes AI capabilities forward fastest, shapes what AI can do for the next 5 years. Amazon just committed $1 billion to making sure they are not left behind. That's the real story. If you want daily AI news like this, follow for updates.